Oh, of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, so be it. I'm simply going to try to comment on this Sunday's Gospel, which we know well. The evening of that day, which day? The third day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That day is the third after Jesus' death, after Good Friday. In the evening, no, it's not now, we're around noon. In the evening, God doesn't always want to give us precise information. He only says the evening of that day. And you know everything that happened from the morning, the nephew of the day, around 5 or 6 o'clock, the women who went to anoint Jesus' body, who found the tomb empty, who went running to where Jesus was going, where the apostles were, where Jesus had performed the scene. They said, but we went to anoint him, but we didn't find him. And you know that of the 11 apostles, 2 will get up, the leader and the youngest, and they will run to see for themselves. And the youngest will inevitably run faster than the oldest. And that's the gospel we had yesterday. When the youngest arrives, the tombs were hewn into the rock. It was like a kind of cave. So they put their heads in to see where they had laid Jesus' body. And they see that there is no body. But they see the linen, the altar linen, which symbolizes the linen that covered Jesus' body. That's how they buried him. They covered the body, and there were small pieces of cloth, strips, little bands that they carefully tied so that the cloth would stay in place. And there was another piece of cloth that they placed over the face. You see, that makes 3. The cloth that covered the whole body, the strips of cloth used to bind it, all to keep it secure. And then there was another small cloth to cover the face. So St. John looks. He sees that the body is not there. At that point, we expect there to be no cloth. But he sees the lines are there, the strips of cloth are there, and the cloth that covered his face is separate. And automatically he understood. The Lord, he says, he saw and he believed. He understood that the body of Jesus had not been taken away. It had not been stolen. No one had come to take it. You see, the women saw that it was empty. They were touched by the cloth, like St. John. But they did not understand that it had not been stolen. They even went to see the garden. If it was you who stole it, the body says, tell us where it is. And then they'll say, if it was him, will he tell you? You see, they're so distraught they don't understand. It's impossible. St. John, however, understands. He believes. He has risen. His body wasn't stolen. But he doesn't speak of it. It's St. Peter who comes later, who enters. There, he follows him, and he sees. They will, of course, return to the cenacle to tell the others what they saw. And remember, the next day, that's Sunday, that's all of that day. The next day, Monday, there will be the disciples on the road to Emmaus. So we won't go there, we'll stop here, because it's evening, it's still Sunday. You see, early in the morning, the women leave. They see the body isn't there and say, it's been stolen. She runs to tell the men. 2 of them run to look. The youngest understands that no, it hasn't been stolen, he has risen. Then he goes home. But he understands that he has risen. The others don't. He's the youngest. Who can he convince? So they're like that. He knows he has risen. He believes. But the others are confused. They say, but where is the body? Because after you, in the meantime, Mary Magdalene goes to see Jesus. She goes back and tells them, I saw him. So you see, there are those who believe what they saw. Well, they understood. And then there are those who say, that story. So it was that evening. After all those events, what is recounted here will happen. The doors of the place where the disciples were. So you see, it's there. It's a bit like the Senate where Jesus performed the scene. It's in the same place. They were there. The doors of the place where the disciples were locked for fear of the Jews. They were afraid. Don't forget that the Jews had just killed their leader. You see, you have a group. You have your leader. And the religious authorities arrest your leader. He died in hiding. And then they finish him off. They kill him. They'll say, well, next it's our turn. If they've finished off our leader, they'll catch us too and finish us off. They're afraid. So they hide. They remain locked up. So it's not like an apostle comes and says, oh no, they're here. We saw them. They're here. And so they hide. Out of fear of the Jews. Then Jesus comes. Jesus comes and dies in their midst. And says to them, peace be with you. You see, you can see very well that the apostles are not at peace. You know, they are not at ease. They are afraid. They are arrested. They die in prison. And in the end, they are killed, just as they killed their leader. They are afraid. They are not at peace. So Jesus comes first and foremost for that reason, to give them peace. So showing them that they must not be afraid. They haven't won. It's not the end. I am here. It's good and very much alive. Because they couldn't believe others. They didn't believe the women. Not even Adeline, who saw Jesus. They didn't believe St. John, who understood that Jesus had risen. He himself had to come. He showed himself to them. He told them, no, I am here, Nin. That wasn't what was planned. We're still in Jerusalem. What was planned was that they were to see Jesus in Nazareth. But like them, they were afraid, because they said, it's over. He's been killed. It's finished. How are we going to get out of here? Go to Nazareth. They'll arrest us. He's dead. We're not going to see him there. That's no good. He's dead. It's over. So Jesus came to take away this fear, this anxiety. He showed them. He gave them proof. So he wishes them this peace. And at the same time, he shows them his hands at his side. These are the proofs. And this is one of the reasons why Jesus kept his wounds. Because they still saw him. They saw him crucified. When his body was lifted from the cross, they saw. They saw wounds. They saw injuries. Imagine, he sees a body, Jesus, without the wounds, without the glory in which he flowed. He says to him, no, that's not him. That's Prisha. No. Why are the wounds gone? It's only been 3 days, The wounds are gone. So Jesus keeps them. Of course, they are happy, etc. And Jesus says, as the Father has sent me, so I send you. He was sent on his mission. He is going to leave. So he sends his disciples. You will continue this mission. The same mission that my Father gave me, I give to you. And saying this, he breathed on them. You see, the breath. Spiritus. Take them with the Holy Ghost. Spiritus. The Spirit. And with your spirit, spiritus, aloud. Spiritus, in its primary sense, is breath. That's it, the Spirit. It's breath. You see, we can't see it. You see, we can't see the breath there. The wind. The air, we can't see it. But we feel its presence. So, that's it. So to signify this Holy Ghost who gives them, he breathes. This Spirit is given to them. It is the Holy Ghost, to whom you forgive sins, and they are forgiven. But if you withhold them, they are withheld. And they receive this power to forgive sins. This is the foundation of confession. This is the foundation of confession. On that day, he gives them this power that he himself possessed. But when he is about to leave, he leaves it to them. So, all this happens. Then Jesus leaves. But there's a problem. They weren't all there. Not all the apostles were there. One was missing. Thomas. Both of them. Called Didi. I don't know if you remember Thomas. He's the one who, when Jesus was still some distance from Bethany, where his friend Lazar had died, remember? He's the one who's going to tell the apostles, okay, we'll go with him and we'll die with him. That's Thomas. He's the one who said that. He knew that over there, it was death. Like Jesus said, well, I'm going anyway. They said, oh, okay. Thomas said, well, guys, we can't leave him. We have to go with him, and we're going to die. In those days, they were still courageous. But on Holy Thursday, we know they'll all flee. Thomas understood. He wasn't there in his heart. When all this happened, of course, when he came back, the others told him. And what did he say? He said, no, I don't believe it. He said, you see, they didn't believe the woman who clearly saw Jesus rise from the dead. They didn't believe it. In those 5 days, they still wouldn't believe it. He didn't even see it. He only understood. Now they've seen it. The others have seen it. They tell him, we saw it. He says, no, there's no question about it. That's false. He's here. He hasn't risen from the dead. And the condition he sets is that he must have the wounds there. If I don't see the wounds there, I can't believe it. What will Jesus do? You see, Jesus, he truly has compassion for us. He puts himself on another level. He says, well, I showed myself to others so that they could tell you. But despite that, you don't want to believe. You demand that I come back myself. That's not a problem. That's complicated. Now, we're 8 days later. It's a week later. It's the same thing. The doors are closed because they're still afraid. Even though they've already seen that Jesus has risen. But they're still afraid. And there's Thomas with them. Jesus comes in as usual. He says, peace, etc. And right away, there, he comes especially for Thomas. Well, only for him. He says, come, 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 come. As soon as he says, here, do it now. And yes, before Thomas puts his finger and his hand in, he says, my Lord, my God, he believes. Because he saw. But remember, St. John, the youngest, he believed without a word. So there is still an apostle who believed without a word. That's St. Thomas. He saw the cloth, the strips of letters, the cloth covering his face, which is all over his face. He understood. He didn't see Jesus rise from the dead, but he understood that he had. But everyone else needed to see. Otherwise, they wouldn't believe. So that's why Jesus came. He revealed himself so that Thomas could believe. That's why Jesus said, "Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." And that's our case. Like St. John. We didn't see him. Well, maybe one of you has already seen Jesus rise from the dead. But we didn't see him. Why do we believe? It's the testimony. It's the testimony. How is this name still present if he hasn't risen? What will give these people the strength to continue? You see, they weren't afraid. If he truly hasn't risen, it doesn't make sense. Really, the resurrection of Jesus, that's the root of our faith. That's what St. Paul will say. If Jesus hadn't risen, we would be the most miserable. Because then, why would we believe? It's pointless. He died. It's over. No, he didn't die. He's not over. He rose again. There are many other signs that Jesus performed in the presence of high schoolers that aren't written in this one. And that's for those who think everything is written down. Now, everything isn't written down. You see, that's why we don't spend our time quoting the Bible. Chapter 6, and it's 15, chapter 5, verse 5. Because we know that everything isn't written down. Everything isn't in the Bible. We're not going to spend our time quoting. Because not everything is in the Bible. There are many things that Jesus did, said, and that the apostles did. He said these things. But they aren't written down. They aren't written anywhere. That's what we call oral tradition. It was passed down without writing. For the most part, of course, it's what is oral, what isn't written. You see, nature, human life, is about the spoken word, not writing. It's about the spoken word, orality. And if you look closely at the history of humanity, it's always been a minority who knew how to write. It's always been a minority who knew how to write. You see, we didn't know how, we didn't write. It's the spoken word that we learned. And even today, there are many who can't write. That doesn't prevent us from living. But speaking there, that's a real handicap. These were written so that you may believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing, you have life in his name. I'll conclude with the fact that, as you've noticed, the doors were closed, and yet Jesus still entered. This is what we call one of the qualities of glorified bodies, which allows these bodies to move everywhere without any obstacle. So, a wall, a door, a window is not an obstacle. The body will pass through. There are other qualities that we'll see another time. So, there you have it. Let's thank God for allowing us to believe without having seen. But just because we haven't seen doesn't mean we don't have reasons to believe. Like St. John, we have seen things that lead us to believe what we haven't seen. When we see that this name is still used today, people make sacrifices, people have died. Even today, this is what allows us to believe in the resurrection, even though we weren't there. When I often ask people, when they tell me, "Here is your father, here is your mother," were you there? You weren't. You believe because you are told. And those who tell you are trustworthy people. You see, when the person tells you, "This is your father, this is your mother," their behavior and everything, you say, "No, if it's not my mother, then I don't know. If it's not my father, then who is it?" It's their behavior and all that tells you, okay, those who tell me, yes, that's it. And it's the same thing. We believe that Jesus is risen because we have the signs of his resurrection in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost. And that is his truth.